Are we out of the? Are we back?
Um, yeah, I think we're back. I think we kind of forgot how we do this.
Yeah. We have here we are crawling out of our proverbial bunker here, back at it again with a fashionably late Monday recap for 2 months. It's
Oh my
Tuesday
God.
when we're
What a long
recording.
2 months it's been.
Yeah.
Yep.
Welcome to another episode of the Two Fans Podcast. I'm your co-host, Joshua Ament.
And I'm your other
Are you-
co-host, Ari Jesselson.
Man, that feels so good to say after 2 months.
Honestly. Wow.
Yeah. A lot has happened. Remember when we were talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
that Super League in our last episode? How we thought that was so solid? That folded.
After, what, like 3 days it folded? Yeah,
Yeah.
but I know we
Technically,
both...
though, technically, three teams have still decided to stay, and I believe Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Inter Milan. Although, really, this 9 others dropped out. Yeah.
It's dead. I didn't like the concept of it. I know you were different. I think we both had to see what it was. So I know a lot of soccer fans, I'm sorry, a lot of football fans are very happy about this. And I think this is always going to be something of what could have been, you know?
Yeah, I still do. I do like the concept of it. Not necessarily. I understand the sort of why people might not like the closed league system. Although I really do think that that the idea should be embraced. That like, hey, let's get like the best 12 or 16 or 20 teams in Europe and all play like a full regular season. And I know there's the Champions League, which you'll play like anywhere from 6 to 10 games, but it's just not really the same.
Well, I guess for the Americans' perspective of this, it would be like how the college football, you have the same four teams who are always going to dominate. You know, I mean, like you have the Alabamas, the Clemsons, the LSU's, and Ohio. Why not? They're always one of those teams. It would be like if they just cut out the regular season and just went to the playoffs. That's kind of what it seems like to me. I think what could have worked is if you had like the worst team of the Super League play like the best team of some whatever league in Europe, and whoever wins that game gets to join in. I think this would have been a great idea if you have other teams who aren't big market teams like all these teams are, and have them play against each other for spots in the Super League. But I still think there's a lot of things that we should have known about beforehand that maybe could have got the fans on the fence for having the Super League.
Yeah, of course. That sort of system of relegation and promotion. That's how it works in the Champions League. That's how it works with sort of leagues like the Premier League, compared to like the second tier leagues with it like domestically. And I feel like they could sort of take that to a larger scale. But I mean, I'm not in any of those board meetings for a reason. So
Exactly. Yeah. At the end of the day, we're just two fans. You know.
yes, we are. Before we sort of go to our usual baseball, football, hockey, all that fun stuff, I do want to talk about tennis a little bit, because a couple interesting things have happened in the French Open. I want to start with over on the women's side, with Naomi Osaka. She early on in the tournament had declined to take questions from the media, citing mental health reasons, eventually leading to a fine, and then ultimately resulting in her dropping out of the tournament. And
Well, I think we could say what everyone's thinking. That was a dirty move on the organization's part, especially as someone as acclaimed as Naomi is, just as a player and as a person. And just she has obvious reasons for why she didn't want to play. Because at the end of the day, mental health should be important for everyone. You know, I know that's not always easy to say and easy to do, but for her to say, "I'm not going to play because I have to take care of myself," is such an admirable thing to do. And for how the organization fucked her over. You know what I mean? I don't know how she could get justice, but I hope she does get it.
Yeah, of course. I probably should have also stated before that I don't have the energy to edit this. So it's probably either not going to be released today, or I'm just gonna like do one full clean cut where I'm not cutting anything out. But back to the topic at hand, that like, yeah, it doesn't matter whether you're Naomi Osaka, whether you're Joe Smith. I will say, if like put your mental health above all else. And if that means that dropping out of the French Open, it was clearly the right move, the move she wanted to make, felt she had to make, and I completely respect that.
Exactly. I don't know what to say. Just for everyone, just listening. Mental health should be important, and it's always going to be hard to put yourself forward, but you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah. Over on the med side, though, a bit more of some good news. If you're a fan of Novak Djokovic, he in the past two rounds, in the semifinal round, defeated Rafael Nadal in a thriller, denying Nadal his 14th French Open. He still has 13. I believe that. I mean, that has to be the most all time. But not only that, Djokovic in the final round came back from 2 sets down against Stefanos Tsitsipas, wins the match in 5 sets, earning him his 19th career Grand Slam, and the only one of him, Federer, and Nadal to won each Grand Slam tournament, that being Australian Open, US Open, French Open, Wimbledon, each of them at least twice. So hats off to him.
Hats off to him. That's obviously an impressive feat to win. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, and I know people will talk about in the conversation in Federer versus Nadal, but I sort of feel a situation for football fans, an analogy. You remember at the beginning of the decade where we were talking about like who's the best quarterback, Tom Brady or Peyton Manning? Meanwhile, Aaron Rodgers is just there, and kind of his performance reminding us, hey, I'm still in this conversation too. That's exactly what I feel like Novak Djokovic has been doing right now. It's just like saying like, yeah, you could talk about Federer versus Nadal, but I'm right up there with them.
Yeah, there's always gonna be that third guy that gets left out. It could be Breeze, Rogers, whatever. He's just a third guy who could make your argument for being one of the greatest tennis players, if not the greatest tennis player, because he has such a great resume to his name. And I don't think you're going to see another guy like him until we see Scott Isley. You know what
I mean? Yeah, we will wait for that day. We will.
And we will cover it.
We will. I realize I've kind of controlled the topics we've gone through. We got to get through a lot. Ari, what are some of the ones you want to burn through right now?
Well, speaking of Djokovic, actually, speaking of Djokovic, let's go to Nikola Jokic. I'm gonna go with names. We all know that.
Jokic,
thank you. Kind of sounded the same.
I mean, there were better ways to do that. You could have said onto another Joker, onto another Serb, whatever. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Fine. Onto another Joker. Persona 5. No, actually, I kind of want to stay in baseball for a minute because I don't think I'm gonna have an opportunity to talk about this right now because there is so much to happen.
We never were in baseball.
Well, no. If we do go to baseball, because it's been such an exciting few months in baseball, like we definitely have a lot to talk about. I feel like, but Bartolo Colon, big sexy himself, in the Mexican League, 48-year-old, right? 3-1 record, 3.58 ERA, 19 strikeouts, and a WHIP of 1.253. As a 48-year-old veteran, that's all I gotta say. You know, that's impressive. He's 48 years old. He is someone's dad throwing these stats. That's incredible. And I don't think I'll have time to talk about Bartolo Colon again. So I just had to get that out.
Yeah, of course. Absolute legend. You keep doing you, Bartolo.
And Bartolo, come back to the Mets. That was probably okay. We go on Mets. when Bartolo was on the
Honestly,
Mets,
come
that
to the
was the
Cubs.
most
We
fun
could
time in
use some
baseball.
starting pitching.
You guys could, but Bartolo on the Mets was such a fun time for those 2 years. Well, just World Series year and the home run year, and then like everything else that happened was also really fun. But those 2 years were so memorable in MLB history. So Bartolo, please come back.
All right, don't really know where to go from there. I guess let's go to the next thing on my list, unless there's something else bugging you.
Bartolo has dreamy eyes. No, okay, you go.
All right. I want to move to some Olympic news because, in case I actually needed to remind some people, we are still in a pandemic, and while I will say that it has been getting better, a lot more people are getting vaccinated. That hasn't quite spread to the rest of the world just yet. And in Japan, of course, Tokyo is slated to hold the Olympics in just a couple of months now. Popular opinion over there has been to cancel it, although there really hasn't been much talk from the Olympic Committee to cancel it. Right now, only just under 7% of the Japanese population has been vaccinated. I know the U.S. is sort of one of the big outliers there in terms of I believe it's about 50% here, but most of the rest of the world, it's not quite there yet. There was a huge spike in cases, especially in Japan in May. So.
Yeah, and while there are a lot of countries doing such great ways of handling COVID, whether there's a lot of other problems they kind of ignore to push it out, there are still many countries that really are getting screwed over by coronavirus, like people again. I mean, look what's happening in India. In the past 24 hours, they had over 60,000 cases. And now we want to open up a world, almost every single country in the sporting event. I really don't think at this point it should be the number one priority. I mean, look at also, there's another country that comes back to me, like Brazil, where they're having Brazil, the States, India, Japan, even, like you said. There's still a lot of cases of COVID. And to open up for a sports league of all things, at this point, it doesn't really seem worth to open up. And I get why a country wants to have an Olympics. It's so much good publicity on your end to say, oh, I hosted the Olympics this year. And I get that, that you want your country to have good press. But right now, read the room. It's not really the best option. It's not the safest option yet. I think if you really want to do it, you're going to have to do something like a bubble situation. But what's the point of that also, I'd say wait it out a little more. Wait for the summer, see what happens. But right now, not even the summer. I say wait more time. See what happens. See how it happens in the world. And just wait. Right now, you don't have to make decisions. I get why you want to. It's good press, good publicity, gets people talking. But it's not the number one priority.
Yeah, of course not. And well, the Olympic Committee has gone on record saying that it won't be delayed any further. It will go on this summer, or it just won't happen at all. It seems like, regardless of what people are going to say, they're going to go through with it. Of course, we said this for something like as seemingly small as the All-Star game, that is it really worth the risk of how much you could spread the virus? Here, this is literally that, but on a global scale. So, I hope they reconsider. It unfortunately doesn't seem like it, but hey, we're still a couple of months away. So let's hope that either they decide to cancel it, to maybe delay it, maybe go back, or that just the situation globally gets better, which I know is probably wishful thinking, but it will get better eventually. At least I hope.
And if not, we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah. Similarly, just because I want to stay sort of on topic, not quite on the same global scale, although the NHL playoffs are going on. We'll talk about the Final Four teams a little bit later on, but some big news has been coming from the first time that a Canadian and an American team are playing all season between the Montreal Canadiens and Vegas Golden Knights. The Canadian government which I mean, the whole reason that you had the sort of realignment this past year has been because the Canadian government does not want travel between Canada and the U.S., or does want it, but you have to quarantine beforehand, which would throw off the NHL schedule. They realigned divisions, had in division, but now we are so far into the playoffs where one Canadian team remains, and so the Canadian government has granted an exemption for NHL teams coming in to play Montreal. Will not have to quarantine, so there is that. I really don't know where I'm going with sort of bringing up things anymore. I guess I'll have to get better at that.
Well, it has been a while, so. But we've seen with Canada, specifically with the COVID scenario, with how they handle COVID, hasn't been. I don't know the right word is ethically the best. There's a lot of crazy lockdowns that's been happening. There's just a lot. It kind of seems like there's this weird borderline of what do we do to stop the spread, but how do we still give people, their lives, and not just their regular lives before COVID, just their lives in general, because there's some weird issues with Canada right now. And that you could even say they've been a little too extreme with it, and that's coming from, people who've been in Israel and Israeli. But that's whatever. I think if players are just coming in to play hockey, I don't see why it should be such a big deal to quarantine them anyway. If they're just going to come in, just get on the ice and get back home, maybe go out to a restaurant. Probably not, though. But if they're just going to play hockey, yeah, they don't need to quarantine. That's just how I feel about it. But I'm just one guy also, maybe I know some stuff better than the government. Maybe I don't. But if you're just going there to play a game, I really don't see why you have to quarantine. So I'm glad they made that change.
Yeah, and I will say that of course, being that Montreal actually is the lowest remaining seed, that the teams coming in will only actually have to make a maximum of 4 trips and a maximum of 6 games, anywhere from sort of from 1 trip to Montreal to 4, and 2 games in Montreal to 6. So I mean, it's not something that should be like, it's viewed as an exception, because like it kind of is. I will also say that I do understand why Canada has been so reluctant so far with so many lockdowns. I think you actually only had fans coming in towards the end of the first round between Montreal and Toronto. But one thing I do understand concern about is that not a lot of Canadians have been vaccinated. I believe the number is only like 5% right now. So, I mean, the idea is just like one case of COVID on like a Vegas team may not seem like much here in the U.S. anymore, but in Canada, I can understand risk of that spreading, and so of course I do hope that they're careful with it. And of course, I hope they do realize.
Yeah, I get that, but also Canada had some weird issues with like vaccine shortages. But at the end of the day, you gotta put the safety of people over, entertainment. But I'm just saying that, hey, if you're going in, flying there, get on the ice, get back home, you don't need to quarantine for it. That's just more time. But let's also see what happens. Maybe it's going to come back, and maybe it's going to get spit back in the face of me, and we've got to shut it down for the NHL. But who knows,
Yeah, we will see. Boy, we are just scratching the surface of what's happened the past 2 months. I don't even know where to go next. I really don't. I'm sorry. I want to like lead into another topic. But
well, I think we should probably just stick on the NHL for now. That's probably one of our. I know it's also usually and still is our shortest topic to talk about. But the playoffs have been pretty interesting. I mean, the Final Four. It's a Final Four. You have the Islanders, the Lightning, the Canadiens, and the Golden Knights. Like, yeah.
Yeah, this is also the first time that. No. Sorry. Do go on.
No, it's just like a lot of the things about the fan bases and the teams in general that I don't like about any of these guys. Like, there's just like, what I mean? There's like personal things with these teams. So it's gonna be weird picking a favorite, but that makes it interesting. It's like kind of like, remember that the Eagles Patriots Super Bowl when you didn't want Brady to win another Super Bowl, but he didn't want the Eagles fans to have something. It kind of reminds me of that. And I kind of love that again.
Yeah, I mean, all four of these teams have had amazing runs in the playoffs. Of course, it's why they're in the Final Four. Each of these teams winning their division bracket. And this will be the first time that any of these teams will play each other, and any team sort of has any interdivision matchups this season. But let's just run through them one by one. I'll start with the Islanders coming out of the East. And into the going into the playoffs, they I think in their last 5 games they had lost to Buffalo. I believe multiple times, if I'm not mistaken, but they were limping into the playoffs. There were a lot of questions about their offense. Yes, Semyon Varlamov has been good in net, but who can they have scoring? Those questions have been answered and then some. The first 2 rounds, just 12 games. Jean-Gabriel Pageau, JGP has had 13 points. Josh Bailey and Anthony Beauvillier with 11. Brock Nelson with 10. And Kyle Palmieri contributing, scoring 7 goals.
Yeah, there's just I don't even know what to say. That's just kind of 7 goals. Like, that's just an impressive feat, no matter who that is, no matter what game. That could be a preseason game. That's always going to be, a big claim to have. But I really don't know how more to add for that.
Yeah, of course, and you'll notice a theme with all these 4 teams. The goaltending has been absolutely outstanding, and I will say the stats that I have are just from the first 2 rounds, not including Game 1 last night and the night before. It's just when I did the stats, but Semyon Varlamov and Ilya Sorokin have kind of split turns in net for the Islanders. Varlamov is at a save percentage of .925. Sorokin with .934. So I mean, both of them have just been killing it there. But they have quite the task in front of them. They won Game 1 over the defending champion Tampa Bay Lightning, and they just tore up the Central Division, getting through the Florida Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes. It was sort of a 3-way sort of race there where all those 3 teams kind of wanted to get the 1 seed just so they wouldn't have to play one of the other 2. Tampa beat them both. And when you lose Nikita Kucherov for the regular season, then get him back in the playoffs, his first 11 games, he's contributed 18 points. That leads all playoff skaters through the first 2 rounds. Stamkos at 13 points. Braden Point and Alex Killorn, who each had 12. Victor Hedman with 11. Braden Point leading in goal scoring with 8.
Yeah, in the Lightning, they've been so explosive on offense. And I actually like to correct you because Nikita, I'm not good with names. Nikita Kucherov, perfect. He actually has 19 points, and he's still leading. Top 10 of the playoff scorers.
I told you this was done before. This was done before the first game of the semifinals.
Oh, my bad. I kind of zoned out. But okay, even then, top 10 in the playoffs, the top 10 point scorers, 4 of them are on the Lightning. And not to mention, they still have. I don't even know what to say about this team because they're just so perfect everywhere. Like, I'm starting with their defense is good, their offense is good, their goaltending is good. Like,
their goaltending is outstanding. Like, year in and year out, Andrei Vasilevsky, it's basically a shoo-in as a Vezina finalist. This year is no exception. In the playoffs, another save percentage of .934. If you don't know save percentage stats, that is really good.
Yeah, and then .934 is a 3-way tie for first. Like, this team is incredible, and I think that's an understatement to say. That's just how good they are, and it's honest. I just can't say any more about this team. They're just so good. But I don't want to root for the Islanders. I know I'm New York. We're New York, Like, hey, I'm walking here and all that, but like, this Islanders team is explosive. They're fun to watch, and they're perfect everywhere. I hope I don't jinx it. But they are really fun to watch,
Yeah, that's only one matchup. Of course, we still have the Montreal Canadiens, Vegas Golden Knights. I'll start in the West. Vegas coming out of the West. They were down 0-2 to the top offense in the league in the Colorado Avalanche in the second round. Vegas themselves have had the top defense in the league in the regular season, fewest goals allowed, and they come back and win 4 straight against the Avalanche, and then win game 1 against Montreal. Marc-Andre Fleury has been, again, another amazing goaltender in this playoffs. In terms of GAA, goals allowed average, he leads. He led the league through the first 2 rounds with 1.91. At least led among remaining goaltenders. Should probably clarify. And just a lot of depth on this Vegas team has been contributing. William Karlsson leads the team with 11 points. Jonathan Marchessault with 6 goals. But through 13 games, how many skaters had at least 7 points? We have Karlsson, Alex Pietrangelo, Mark Stone, Max Pacioretty, Jonathan Marchessault, Riley Smith, Alex Tuch, and Matthias Janmark. So,
yeah, and again, this has been a fun team to see. You have the youngest team in the NHL playing against one of the oldest teams in the NHL for a spot for the finals. Like, Marc-Andre Fleury is one of the best goalies in the NHL in history and in today's game. I don't want to be one of those guys, but Penguins kind of screwed. I know Murray was the safe option back then. He was the right option back then. That's how I felt. But Marc-Andre Fleury, what a generational type of guy. The defense has been putting up in top 10 defensive points. 3 of them are on the Golden Knights. Like, everyone's just showing around. Everyone knows what they're doing. It's just they've always been such a fun team to watch for me. Ever since they were announced, they've been such a great team to see. In their first year making the finals, like you knew they were going to be a good team for because every team only has like 3 players to save, so you're just going to pick whoever you want from those 3. But this is just a fun team to watch again. Like, I think my problem with this finals is a lot of the fan bases are annoying, but for players and how fun factor, this has been one of my favorite This has been one of my favorite NHL playoff series in a while. These past few games.
Yeah, we haven't even scratched the surface of the Montreal Canadiens, the surprise team making it through this far, thanks in no small part to Carey Price returning to vintage form through the first 2 rounds. He led the league in save percentage, .935.
Yes, Carey, yes.
Of course, not to be outdone, of course, there's they do have contributors on offense too. Tyler Toffoli with 10 points in his first 11 games. Nick Suzuki with 8. Eric Stahl and Joel Armia with 7. Of course, not the most prolific of offensives, but with the way Price has been playing, you don't need to be that much.
Exactly, and they still get the job done at the end of the day. But with Carey Price, you don't need to rely everything on the offense. I know that's different. That's such a different mentality from a lot of these other teams we see in this playoffs. But for the Canadiens, I feel like the only downfall is they might rely on Carey Price a little too much going forward. But still, it's working. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that is fair. Of course, we saw just yesterday in Game 1 how when Price can't save the team, can't bail them out, like you lose 4-1. And I know you can chalk it up to the talent of the Vegas team, but if you want to compete for a cup, you got to outplay your talent level.
Yeah, you're only as strong as your weakest link. You know what I mean? That's everything in sports, and we've seen that a lot with Bills fans close your ear. A lot of teams, Vikings, Bills, whatever, Bears. We get that boy. We've seen a lot of things go down to the kickers, and for whatever reason, it just doesn't happen. You're only strong as your weakest link. If you're going to rely on Carey Price a little too much, that's going to be the downfall of this season for the Canadiens.
All right, so now I have to ask you, with your extensive hockey knowledge, who do you have winning it all out of those 4?
Who do I have winning it? Okay. You're going to have to hear me out on this one, okay? The Seattle Krakens start halfway through this playoff series, and they have to play every single team in a 7-game series. They sweep all those teams. That's what I got to say, you know? No, but I think the Lightning The Lightning, I'm going to jinx it. I just know that. I know I'm just going to jinx what I just said. They're probably going to lose every single game now. But the Lightning have just been so fun to watch. They've been so good everywhere. They've just been one of the most perfect teams this year. I mean, you have what, 5 guys? Yeah, you have 5 guys who have double digit in points in the playoff series. You have, I'm never going to pronounce his name ever. I'm never going to pronounce his name right, but Andrei Vasilevsky is such a, oh my
No, you
God,
got it right.
gosh. Hey, let's go. That's a first. I think I need like a little jingle when I pronounce words right. But he's been such a great goalie this year. This is a series. Like all the goalies in these top 4 have been so good. They've just been showing up. The defense is strong. The offense is strong. They're putting out points. They're shutting people down. Like they're just such a perfectly balanced team. And I know I just jinxed it, but for me, they have the best chances of winning it all this year.
Well, the funny thing is, I was actually going to mention the Kraken too, but I'm going to pick the other team from that expansion wave to win it all, the Vegas Golden Knights. And I'll tell you why. In playoff hockey, you need 3 things. Number 1, you need strong goaltending. Every single one of those 4 teams has that. Marc-Andre Fleury, no exception in that. Number 2 is you need depth in scoring. I just listed the names. I can probably mention someone on any one of Vegas's lines, and you would recognize them. And number 3 is you need playoff experience. This Vegas team has been to the playoffs every single year that they've been a franchise. They made it to the Stanley Cup final in their first year. They made it to the Western Conference Finals just last year in the bubble. I think this is the year that they're going to win it all, not just for that, also because, number 1, the only other team with that level of playoff experience has been the Tampa Bay Lightning, and repeats in the NHL just aren't that common, so I don't think it's going to happen this year. And number 2 is that it would mess up the NHL's plan so much to have an in-division expansion rivalry between Vegas and the Seattle Kraken, and to see Vegas win a cup before the Kraken even draft a single player would just throw such a wrench in their plans that I know it's going to happen.
Okay, I want to see that happen now. But I still think the Lightning just have a little more to them, you know. But I think it's going to be fun no matter what, you know. Some of these 4 teams are just so fun to watch. I think it's going to be great no matter how many games let's go for. Whether we have sweeps, we have 7-game series, it's just going to be fun, you know.
That it absolutely will be. So let's move on to another playoffs that's happening in the NBA. Just a couple of days behind their schedule. We're still in the second round. One team has punched their ticket to the conference final, that being the Phoenix Suns, sweeping the Denver Nuggets in the second round with MVP Nikola Jokic. First of all, congrats to him for winning the MVP. Better luck next time in the playoffs. Don't really know what to say there, but I guess we'll talk. I guess I can talk about the Suns for that sense, because we talked about for a while. We talked about them having like a young core in Booker and DeAndre Ayton, and never being able to even make the playoffs. Chris Paul has been that guy as a mentor, as a facilitator on the court. That just launched them into the 2 seed, right up to the top of the West.
Yeah, honestly, and we've always said for the past few years, a lot of people said, Devin has to lead the team. Go to a team that can actually contend. The Suns are ruining his career. And for a lot of times, yeah. And even I, as someone who loves Devin Booker and love that he stayed for the team that drafted him, he was so loyal to the Suns. It was like, he should probably get out. He's too loyal. Maybe he had to find someone. And then they brought in some guys. It is Chris Paul mainly with such a big impact on this team, making them the number 1 seed. They're on I don't know what more you could say about the Suns this year specifically. Devin Booker's been balling as usual. Jay Crowder surprisingly doing some stuff again, you know. I know he's not the same as his Boston days, but he's still got something. DeAndre Ayton stepping up and Chris Paul. Oh my God. I know a lot of people say when the Suns got him that he's 35, he's washed, but he's really proving people wrong. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, that's like Chris
Yeah,
Paul.
no, yeah. You even want to look like to last year. It was pretty much the same situation. Even worse when he was on the Thunder. Like that team was like basically openly tanking, and yet he still led them to the 5th seed in the West last year. Of course, the 2 seed in the West this year. That like let's stop the Chris Paul slander here.
Yeah, honestly, that's had to stop so many years ago now. And just he's an all-star again this year. 16.4 points, right? 1.4 steals, 1.4 assists, and 8.9 total rebounds per game. That's all his per game stats this year. He's 35, and he's averaging so many great numbers. Like, first of all, why has there ever been Chris Paul slander in the first place? I feel like he's one of those guys who just like never deserved it, but always had it. Like, put respect on the guy's name. He's basically I don't want to say he single-handedly changed it, but he really made a great impact on the Suns this year. And that's why the Suns are performing as well, because we all knew Devin Booker was a great player. That's nothing new when I'm saying that. It's nothing groundbreaking, nothing like that. I think go to anyone and anyone will say, yes, he's a great player. He's probably one of the best players of our generation. Nothing big about that. But there's a lot of guys on the team couldn't step up beforehand, For whatever reason, they couldn't get the right pieces. Guys would get hurt, whatever, that happens. With Chris Paul coming into this game, Devin Booker doesn't have to be the guy to put everything on his shoulders. He doesn't have to be the most, get the most points, get the most steals, get the most rebounds, get the most blocks, get the most assists. He doesn't need to be that guy anymore. You have Chris Paul, who's been such a great veteran, a great role model for this young Suns organization. That's really changed around. And DeAndre Ayton stepping up. He played 69 games this year. Nice. Last year he only played 38. But in 69 games, he averaged 14.4 points, 1.2 blocks, 0.06 steals, and 1.4 assists. He's not fantastic numbers, but he's still stepping up. He's there. He doesn't need Devin to be the number one guy. He doesn't need to be every guy to do every single thing. And that's how you've seen he's getting so much more in this team. The Suns really turned it around. Just great for them and great for Devin.
Yeah, of course. Suns are going to make their first Western Conference final in 10 years. Both the Jazz and the LA Clippers are trying to break even longer streaks. The Clippers actually just trying to make their first Western Conference final in franchise history. Both those teams have won 2 games this second round. The Jazz, of course, led by Donovan Mitchell, just scoring lights out, averaging how many a game? 32.3 a game this playoffs. Rudy Gobert in down low, defensive player of the year once again. So, they're the 1 seed in the West for a reason. But the Clippers are putting up a fight for a reason. Kawhi Leonard is still Kawhi Leonard. Paul George is still shaky, but when he contributes, they're good.
Yeah, and Donovan, oh my God, Donovan Mitchell is just such. I'm not just saying that because he's from Elmsford. It's close to us. His dad was on that. I'm not just saying that because New York. I'm walking and all that. He's just always been such a great player, and he's just. I know a lot of people want to see him go over the head for once and finally make it far. I think that's what he could do. He's such a great. He's just. Mwah. What a great player he has been in his career. You know what I mean? And like the numbers he gave, he's stepping up. He's such a young guy, and for doing what he's been doing, it's kind of incredible. You know what I mean? You get people were trying to make cases for an MVP or for some award this year, and yeah, he definitely wouldn't win MVP, but you could definitely make an argument for how he's been top 5 in the NBA this year. And just a lot of players also have been stepping up. You have Rudy Gobert, who's such a great defensive player, who also won his 3rd Defensive Player of the Year award this year. You have guys like Joe Ingles, who's such a great Joe Ingles and Jordan Clarkson, who are so many guys who are great off the bench. This is a stacked team. This is just such a stacked team who has that number one guy, who has so many guys to build around off, and has so many other guys who could take the job. This kind of reminds me of last year's Heat, when you had Jimmy Butler as the main guy, but you had so many other guys like Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, and Bam Adebayo, who are guys who could also take the realm and do what they have to do for the team to succeed. And I'm not trying to compare these two teams as much, because bubble Heat are different from the this year just for a lot of reasons, but it reminds me of that this is a team that has everything set up for them. If one guy doesn't perform, don't worry. You have 4 or 5 other guys who definitely will. And for the Clippers, I mean, it's Kawhi Leonard. He's pandemic P for a reason. He's playoff P for whatever reason. I know it takes a while for him to get his groove. If he does find his groove, this team's going to be dangerous right now. Kawhi Leonard, all-star again this year, 24.8 points, 1.6 steals, and 5.2 assists. I'm sorry, 6.5 rebounds this year. He's just always been a great player. Nothing new again being said here. The thing is with the Clippers, it does take a while for them to really do something, it seems like. And with a lot of guys, like I know Ibaka has been kind of a disappointment this year, same with Beverly, same with Jackson, same with playoff P. But here's the thing. They're putting up the fight. They were down 0-2 against the Mavericks, and they took them to 7 games. Who's to say the Clippers can't do that against Utah? But Utah is a number 1 seed for a reason. But it's still going to be fun to watch, The series is tied 2-2, and let's see what happens,
Yeah, let us see. And let me also say one more thing. And this can apply to the NBA playoffs this year. This can apply to any best of 7 playoffs in general. Anytime the home team takes a 2-0 series lead, let's not overreact. All they're doing is defending home court. The next 2 games may go the exact opposite way, and we have a 2-2 tie. That's what happened multiple times in this round alone, both with Utah and the Clippers, and also in the East between the Nets and the Bucks. While I do know the absence of James Harden for the Nets was a factor in that, it is very much a series. I know the first 2 games there was a lot of Giannis slander. The past 2, he has fought back against that. Of course, the series is tied now, and I do also want to say, because we talk about the Nets, and I talked about how they need a dominant big man to compete with Giannis, to compete with Joel Embiid, and they have that guy. They had him all along in Kevin Durant, and I kind of forgot about that. But yeah, he's he's done well for himself in these playoffs. Let me try to pull up his stats. Why am I not seeing them? Durant, there it is, 31.3 points a game, shooting just a notch over 50%, 46.2% from 3, 8.2 rebounds a game, 3.8 assists, 1.6 steals, and 1.8 blocks per game.
Sorry, I was Kyrie's going down this game. I know Kyrie's not going to play game 5. But again, the Nets team is stacked. And again, nothing groundbreaking there. And I know people want to say about the big 3 they have with Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. But when you look at the rest of the roster, like Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan are still great role players. And Blake Griffin, we've seen him play in such a great level where he's actually dunking the ball again. And I know everyone a few months back said, "Oh, Blake Griffin's going to dunk again." You would have called me crazy. We haven't seen that in a while. We're seeing a newer Blake Griffin, kind of like a young Blake Griffin, but he's more mature in the game. Joe Harris and Mike James are just great role. Joe Harris is such a great shooter. I'm so surprised he played in Europe for a lot of this time. And Mike James is still a reliable point guard. And Spencer Dinwiddie. Look, you have a lot of great guys on this team who are going to perform. And if one of your major 3 guys are out, one of the big 3, you still have more guys to take the claim. This Nets team is stacked. This Nets team is just good again. There's a reason people say that this team is kind of unfair because they have places everywhere to go. And with the Bucks, I know they're getting less talk, but come on, they're still the Bucks. Giannis is still one of the greatest players in the game. Chris Middleton has been such a great second player for him. Drew Holiday has been good. PJ Tucker he's been playing pretty all right, I know people want the Bucks to get out. I know people want to see the Nets really advance and take this all home, but it's going to be a big fight for a reason. The series is tied 2-2 all, just like every series right now is tied 2-all, but there's a reason it's a 7-game series. I mean, come on, NBA fans. One of the biggest things we talk about is how the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead. This is a best-of-7 series. Let's see what happens with that. No one jumped to conclusions yet, and it's still going to be a fun series to watch, you know. Kevin Durant has been containing Giannis. I know there's been some beef with him with him and PJ Tucker, but you still have a lot of good guys on all these teams who are going to do so greatness, you know. I'm excited to see this go to as many games as possible.
Yeah, of course, and we haven't even talked about the other matchup in the East between the Hawks and the Sixers. One of them with a very young front court, in as well as Trae Young. I mean, what more can you? I really don't know. I probably should have collected my thoughts more before I start to speak, but I've already spoken. But I'll say about the Hawks, getting to the second round this year, I think was a pleasant surprise for them. The experience will certainly help them, and I'm excited, of course, for Trae Young, of course, for John Collins, but also for DeAndre Hunter. I'm excited to see what Trae can do with an emerging front court. Of course, John Collins had a couple years under his belt. I really don't know what I'm saying. I could probably cut this out.
Here, let me get my notes up for them. Yes, and I'm gonna be salty because I was rooting for the Knicks. So it was a good run, though. You know, they finally did something. But this Hawks team is something different. Trae Young's in a league of his own. Tony Snell, he has his own club, the 50-50 100. I mean, he's also in a league of his own for other reasons. Lou Williams is a reliable veteran on this team. Tony Snell, I said before. Trae, oh my God, just Trae Young and John Collins. What a duo those two are. You know, this is such a fun team to watch. They're such a young core who have a reliable veterans, you know. And just Trae, oh my God, he's just so good. I don't know what more to say about Trae. Like 25.3 points, right? 9.4 assists and 3.9 rebounds. That is incredible. And again, you have so many reliable players to go to that if Trae has an underwhelming night, you still have guys like Tony Snell. You still have guys like DeAndre Hunter. You still have guys like John Collins, Cam Reddish, who will put in the work and will get the job done. Well, it is hard as they are going against the 76ers. Another great team, you know. Like Joe Embiid.
I just want to talk about the Hawks for a second.
Yeah.
I don't want to cut you off, but I need a chance to talk about the Hawks. That this year, of course, I don't like to say they're going to go all the way this year. It's a bit of a stretch, but I'm super excited to see what they're going to have in years to come with Trae Young and the rest of this young core, especially in the front court. You have John Collins and also guys like DeAndre Hunter and Onyeka Okongwu, both top 5 picks who, if they develop, expect to see the Hawks in a lot further than the second round for years to come.
Definitely, they're just such a young and great upcoming team that, again, it's gonna be fun to watch. And we say that they're not gonna have a far push because this 76ers team is stacked as usual. I mean, you got Joel Embiid, who was MVP candidate this year, 28.5 points, 10.6 rebounds, and 2.8 assists. Not bad numbers at all. Great numbers. Then you got Ben Simmons, who, yes, he can't make threes, but still 14 points a game. And a phenomenal defender. That's why you're seeing Trae Young kind of struggling these past few games. And you guys like Tobias Harris, who's been stepping up with almost 19.5 points per game, 6.8 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. You have Seth Curry, who has been cooking this year. Like, the Curry brothers could cook. Put some respect on his name. You have so many guys on this court who can shoot. And then you have Ben Simmons, who's such a great defender who could lock down almost anyone. There's no reason why this 76ers team has been looked at like no other team in the past.
Yeah, I mean, they are the 1 seed for a reason. I know everyone wants to hand the Eastern Conference Championship to the Nets, or at least they wanted to a couple of days ago. But this Sixers team might arguably have the best front court in the NBA, especially if you want to count Simmons as a forward. I know positions are old-fashioned, but whatever. With him, with Joel Embiid, with Tobias Harris, I mean, like that's a tough wall to get through.
Definitely. Like, I can't add on to it anymore to what you said because you really just said it great.
Yeah, and now the time comes where we have to make our predictions. So I'll start with you again. Who have you got? I'll tell you who you got in the finals, and then who do you have winning it?
I have Suns and Nets. I have the Nets winning it all. Should I explain my reasoning or?
If you can.
Yeah, I mean, the Suns have been so phenomenal this year for so many reasons that we stated beforehand. That I think they could beat the Clippers and the Jazz almost easily. You know, and this Clippers team is great. This Jazz team is so great, but the Suns just have a little more going for them. And again, this Nets team is dynamic almost everywhere. If players could stay healthy, because I know Kyrie's going to be out for Game 5. If players could stay healthy, it's going to be such a big impact on them. And again, only if everyone can stay healthy, I have the Nets winning it all. Because I still think they're going to beat the Bucks. I still think the Bucks need one or two more years. A lot of the pieces aren't there yet. I mean, he's still pretty. Chris Middleton's who's been such a great number 2 guy. Giannis is still incredible, but not all the pieces are there. For the Hawks, I don't see them going far. I actually see them losing to the 76ers, just like a lot of people. And the 76ers, I really don't know how I feel about this year. I know there's been such a great team, but there's just something about it that's saying, not this year, not this year. And this is one of the best 76ers teams we've seen. I do hope they go far. I really don't like super teams. I don't want them to go far. But the Nets just have so much going for them right now that if things could be, if players just stay healthy, that's all they need, and they got it. And if players do, I think they're champs.
All right. I'll also say the Suns come out of the West, not just because of the mathematical reason, but also whoever they face, the Jazz or the Clippers, they'll have gone through grueling 6 games. The Suns have had time to rest, had time to regroup, and they've just been firing on all cylinders. I mean, winning 8 of 9 in the playoffs. I don't see them slowing down. I see them taking the West. But who I see winning the East, and I'll say ultimately winning it all, and this may just be wishful thinking again because I want a feel-good story. I want to see the Sixers take it all this year. I want to see the process completed. I want to see the city of Philadelphia completely burned down. I want to see Hinkie return from exile. I want to see all that. So
I don't know, you kind of cut out for me at the ending part.
what was the last thing I said?
You want to see the process complete, and then you just cut off.
Okay, I want to see the process completed. I want to see the city of Philadelphia burned down in flames. I want to see Sam Hinkie return from exile. I want to see Adam Silver completely freak out as every team will now rush once again to the bottom. I want to see all that.
So basically, you just want to see some chaos happen.
And who doesn't really? But
you got a point. You do have a point.
All right. I do also want to say one thing about this playoffs. In the past 10 years, the 4 teams remaining in the Eastern Conference, only 2 of them have made the Eastern Conference Finals. Each of them only won to Milwaukee in 2018, Atlanta in 2015. In the Western Conference, that same number of the 4 teams remaining in the second round, only 2 of them made it to the Western Conference Finals since 2011. Phoenix did it in 2011. Denver did it just this past year. The other 4 would break longer drafts, making it to the conference finals. The last time any of these teams made it to the finals was Brooklyn in 2003, and they were still in New Jersey. Before that, I mean, the Western Conference, you have to go back to 98 with the Jazz. And I think the biggest sign here is that in the MLB, 2015, 16, and 17, You had 3 World Series with 6 different teams. The past 4 years in the NHL, you've had 4 different Stanley Cups with 8 different teams. There was a stretch in the NFL in the early 2010s, your Super Bowls 44 all the way through 48, where you had 5 Super Bowls with 10 different teams. This year in the NBA will mark the last 3 finals with 6 different teams for the first time since the turn of this century, from 1998 to 2000. So hats off to parity, hats off to a new era in the NBA.
Ooh, yeah, when you said that, I was genuinely shocked. I really didn't know that those are the numbers. But I guess for going back to what do you think? The 76ers definitely have more recent playoff experience, and that is going to be a big thing for them. But again, just like the NHL, it's just going to be so fun to watch what's going to happen. No matter who wins this, no matter what happens, how many games, whether the rest of the games get swept, when we're just going to see 4-0 sweeps, we're just going to see sweeps from now on, or we all get every single game a 7-game series. It's going to be fun to watch, you know.
That it will definitely be. And there goes the playoff talk. What we still have more to cover. The grind never ends.
Honestly. So, what sport do you want to talk about now?
What sport? I feel like with all the stuff we can talk about, baseball could be its own episode. We'll start with the NFL in the off season. A couple of things have happened. Number one has been New Jersey rule approved, allowing players who normally wouldn't be able to wear single-digit numbers now can, with one catch.
And what's that catch?
We call that in the industry a setup, where I kind of set that up for you to finish it.
I already asked. I asked, what's that catch? What's the catch?
Okay, you're missing the cues here, bud. But whatever. The catch is that if a player wants to do that, they must buy out their remaining stock of jerseys, which I can understand from a business standpoint. It's a little bit unfortunate for some players, or maybe still on like rookie deals, but it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. That's. Wait, did you mean like, oh, what's the catch? Like catch, or is there something else I'm missing?
No, I meant like the way you would use "what's the catch" in normal conversation.
I asked it like once he finished. I don't know, maybe you didn't. Whatever, it's all good. But yeah, I get why. As in a business perspective, it doesn't make sense. I mean, you're having this unused inventory of numbers of jerseys that are basically, you don't know what you're gonna do with them. Are you just gonna replace the numbers, or are you getting rid of them? Like, you don't know what you're gonna do. It doesn't make sense for a player to buy those back. The people I do feel bad for are the fans who already bought jerseys of the numbers, and they bought the old numbers. You know.
Yeah, that is very fair. But a couple of other things have happened in the offseason. Biggest thing probably being the draft. And while I will say that I am not the biggest draft analyst, I don't think Ari is either. Truthfully, I don't really know a whole lot of these prospects, names, whatever. Like, yeah, I know who Trevor Lawrence is, but like that's pretty much about it. So I'll just leave with one note on the draft, and that is that the Detroit Lions got an absolute steal, sitting and waiting for Penei Sewell to fall to them at number 7. This is one of the guys that I've heard. Like, I know he opted out of the season, but this is someone everyone has said is a generational offensive line talent, and falling outside of the top 5, falling past the Cincinnati Bengals, who should have taken him at number 5. I get the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Buddy, LSU connection there, but Joe Burrow is not going to be able to throw to him if he tears his ACL again.
Yeah, and for the Bengals, you already had a stacked wide receiver core. I mean, Tyler Boyd, you had so many guys. I don't know why you didn't draft an offensive lineman for your quarterback. maybe we're going to be wrong. They did draft someone in the second round, but Penei Sewell is a generational type guy. In the Lions, we don't talk about their offensive line as much. I mean, they're supposed to be top 10 heading into next year. Taylor Decker has a career high 82 overall on PFF. Frank Ragnow had the third best among centers on 80.3, who is now the highest paid center in NFL history. Like, this line is stacked, and adding a generational type guy into this mix now, it's just going to be big. I mean, if we see Jared Goff have career numbers again like he did in 2016, 2017, this line is going to be a big reason why. And they did lose some offensive weapons, but this line is definitely nothing to be worried about when we're looking at the Detroit Lions. The only other thing with this draft that really concerned me, I'm really concerned, but a lot of teams took, like Kyle Pitts going fourth overall. Not the best idea for a team that really blew a lot of leads. Defensively and offensively couldn't have a line. Trey Lance going 3 when Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't stay healthy a lot. Maybe he didn't need a quarterback there, but whatever. J.C. Horn being the fourth corner off the board, he is great, but you did have Pat Surtain also there. Mac Jones going number 15 to the Patriots. I know people want to rip off on the Patriots, rip off Mac Jones. Remember one of the last times that the Patriots drafted a quarterback who shouldn't have been picked really, or kind of not the right body size? Because we're not counting Jimmy Garoppolo. God damn, but like Tom Brady, by the way, I'm not trying to mention. There's some stuff also with this. Kadarius Toney going to the Giants because the Eagles drafting Devontae Smith makes sense. They're both good receivers. Greg Newsome falling to the Browns. Mwah. Thank you so much. Rashad Bateman going to the Ravens. Just maybe, Lamar Jackson finally has a wide receiver to throw to now. Elijah Moore being 34th overall kind of fell, but I get why. He's going to be big on the Jets. And another guy who fell, JOK. He was supposed to be a first rounder, and he fell to the Browns with a 52 overall pick. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day. Like, I'm just happy about this, There's a lot of teams there are a lot of great picks that happened. Jaguars are looking pretty good despite drafting the running back. I forgot his name right now. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, when you already had, James Robinson, who was one of the best running backs last year. Doesn't really make sense, but whatever. This draft, for someone who doesn't know much about it, I can still talk more about this class because there are so many great prospects in it. But the thing is, with prospects, we can't really judge them until they played a snap in the NFL. But from on paper, a lot of teams are in great position to do good.
Yeah, I do. Again, I don't really know a whole lot of the prospects. Pretty much the only thing I can do is circle back to the comments about the Lions that, every good offense starts with a strong offensive line. And, management there, congratulations. You're not screwing it up. You're actually building a pretty damn good offensive line, and good for you guys on that.
Yeah, honestly, the Lions are going to the step in the right direction. Their offense is looking pretty good. If their defense could step up, I know there is some stuff you do have to build with them, but if that defense could step up, they're looking phenomenal. They're looking to be in great positioning. I don't know what to say. I don't want to talk about this about your divisional rival because for that seed, for that area, I'd rather have the Bears.
You talked about the Patriots, no problem.
I'm a Browns fan. Remember?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking. Sorry, never mind.
No, I'm saying if I want someone in that division, I'd rather have the Bears be good. But the Lions are looking pretty good, and I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few years they could maybe sneak their way to the wild card.
I'm sorry, I completely zoned out.
No, I'm just saying that Lions are looking in good positioning.
Yeah, okay, of course. You know who else is looking in good positioning on offense? Is the Tennessee Titans. They traded for Julio Jones, and I probably should have also looked up and had on hand what they traded for, but it was a second rounder and a fourth rounder, if I'm not mistaken. in exchange for
so,
Julio Jones.
Yeah, a 2022 second and a 2023 fourth, and I believe the Titans would also get a fourth rounder in next year's draft.
Yeah, so I mean, there's like from the Titans standpoint, I can understand why you make this trade. Like, I would much rather have a generational talent, a wide receiver, than a second round pick. But when you look at your numbers on offense, your total offensive EPC ranked number 4. Your passing offense ranked number 5. So that clearly wasn't the problem. And I know Julio's going to help, but it would help a lot more if you got someone on defense. Last year, your defense ranked number 28 in EPC. That's a bottom 5 unit. And that's holding you back. Honestly, with that offense, that's holding them back from competing with the Chiefs, with the Bills, with the Browns. So I don't know why you don't address that. But, I mean, the offense is going to look good, so.
Honestly, even though they lost Janelle Smith and he did sign with the Patriots, this offense looks stellar. I mean, Julio Jones, he's definitely in his later years of his career. You know, nothing new being said there. But it's still Julio Jones. Side by side with A.J. Brown, Tannehill's underrated quarterback, and Derrick Henry, like, stacked offense right there. The thing is, they should have focused on their defense a little more. I don't really think they did much in the draft to address it. They really, and it just seems like it's kind of being swept under the rug. I mean, we've seen a team that were willing to take chances in their entire fundamental was being made on chances. They're really playing it safe right now. That's how, at least I'm seeing it. That they're kind of just ignoring stuff. And yes, they did get Bud Dupree in the offseason, but that's one addition basically to this entire team. When this team is so mediocre on defense, I think the best thing you could say about the best thing you can say about their defense is they're below average, or they're just average. And that's the best I could say about this team.
They're not even. They were literally a bottom 5 unit.
No, I'm saying in their highest, they're a below average defense. In the highest this team could be, they're a below average defense. That's how bad they are. And that's how terribly they address the defensive needs this year. I know a lot of people want to talk big games about the Titans right now. But we've seen time and time again that without a defense, you're not going to compete. But still, the offense is stacked, and the AFC South is kind of weak.
I mean, the Colts are right there. And I will say, I'm a little bit surprised they didn't pursue Julio Jones a little bit more. Like, this is a team that we've kind of been talking about for a few months, that like they're one weapon away from being a real formidable offense. Under the assumption, of course, that Carson Wentz and Frank Reich gel once again, and that Carson Wentz can prove that the ACL injury, that he's recovered from it, which is a tough task for him. But I mean, if there's one guy who can get the most out of Carson Wentz, it's Frank Reich. We saw that in 2017, and I mean, I hope to see it next.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest, I kind of forgot the Colts were there in that division, but yeah, they had over $20 million of cap space left this year. They could have easily pursued Julio Jones. And again, maybe there's other reasons they didn't. Maybe they could see behind it and stuff, the rose-colored glasses that, yeah, Julio is an aging player. He might not fit in our system. It's better we save the money now and try to go for him and see maybe he could do it. But this Colts team, we keep talking about the Colts. I feel like every time we talk about football, we always bring ourselves back to the Colts, and there's definitely a reason for that, you know?
I mean, they're just a good, solid, like, well-rounded team. The offense last year was pretty good under like an emergency option in Phillip Rivers. The defense was solid as ever. Like, there's nothing you can point at on that team and say that is bad. But everything you can look at and say that can be a little bit better, and that might take them over the top.
Yeah, exactly. They're just such a good team, but I really want to see how it plays out for them because there's so many what-if factors that are really going to hold it down. And I know we talked about the jersey rule a little bit before, but Jalen Ramsey just announced that he will switch to the number 5 for the upcoming NFL season. He's added a list of guys changing like Budda Baker, Patrick Peterson, Emmanuel Sanders, Darius Slay, Sterling Shepard, and Robert Woods. And I know I talked about this before. Like I said, I feel bad for the average fan who did buy a jersey. Leonard Fournette, when he announced that he was going to switch back to the number 7, said that he's going to buy 200 jerseys and give them to friends who already bought his jersey. So that's really something I wish more players would do. Like you have the income to definitely do so, and it's just morally the right thing to do.
Wow, didn't even know that, but yeah, good move on his part. Don't really know what more to add there.
Yeah, that was just a quick story, but all I know, again, this NFL season is going to be fun. And we're going to see a lot of teams, a lot of new teams specifically, have new success. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we see 2 new teams in the Super Bowl this year.
I mean, again, as a parity guy, that's what I'm hoping for. Can we please get another quarterback in the AFC in the Super Bowl guy? That's what I'm hoping for. That covers. Oh no, it doesn't cover the end of our football news. You hear about this Aaron Rodgers guy? Seems pretty upset about
Really?
the organization.
I couldn't tell. They was pretty happy with the Packers organization,
That must explain why he's missing OTAs.
But they're not mandatory, right? Like, they're just the optional.
Yeah, no. If you haven't heard, Aaron Rodgers wants out of Green Bay. And all I have to say is I really do not envy Packers GM Brian Gutekunst right now. He is quite literally stuck between a rock and a hard place where he either trades away Aaron Rodgers, upsets the team, upsets the players, upsets Packers fans everywhere, upsets the entire state of Wisconsin, or he holds on to him, and in all likelihood, Rodgers threatens to hold out. Maybe he does, in which case you just pay $30+ million for an MVP that doesn't show up. So
yeah, and he's in probably the worst position of his entire career, because no matter what he's going to do right now, you're going to have people who are going to fight him, are going to be angry, or are going to be pissed off with the organization, and that just comes with the job. But for me, like, can we see Blake Bortles take control of this Packers team? He's on the roster,
I will say I am intrigued to see if Jordan Love is thrown into the starting role, how well he performs under LaFleur, under the Packers offensive system that was designed for an MVP. Well, what if Love steps in?
Yeah, we haven't seen Jordan Love play a snap last year. So I think a lot of fans do want to see what this kid can bring, because at the end of the day, when Aaron Rodgers leaves the Packers, whether it be this year or any other year in the future, Jordan Love is going to be the future. He's going to be the Aaron Rodgers to what Brett Favre was. But I want to see Blake Bortles. I think that would be funny, Like, Blake Bortles almost went to the Super Bowl. The Jaguars were a few plays away from a Super Bowl. Like, that's just incredible. I want to see that happen again. But Blake Bortles throwing touchdown passes to Devontae Adams and handing off to Aaron Jones. You can't say you don't want to see that happen. That'd be pretty funny,
I mean, I don't not want to see that happen.
But the real question, do you get why Aaron Rodgers is upset? Because when I look at the roster on paper, when I look at the Packers organization right now, they are looking pretty good. I mean, Devontae Adams is arguably the best quarterback. He's arguably the best wide receiver in this game. Aaron Jones is arguably top 10, top 5. You have some young wide receivers who could do something eventually. The line is pretty solid. I know some guys did get hurt last year, and the defense is pretty okay. Like, do you really think that Rodgers has the right to complain? Because to me, I get you're upset, and I get you should get more say as a veteran, as a captain of this team. But where the Packers are now, they're not worse. I feel like for me, like Aaron Rodgers, he is in the right, but he's trying to make it that his situation is like playing for the Jaguars.
I'll give a couple of sort of personal experiences and observations about myself and try to apply them into this situation. And number one is that generally I don't snap at people until the moment has already passed. And number two, I will try to deny the reasons for why I do snap when I snap, and then internally admit, and then later on admit, yeah, that was why. And number one, yeah, the past couple of years, Rodgers has made the NFC Championship game. The Packers have surrounded him with talent. But before then, like there was a good 5-year stretch from about like 2013 to 2018 where the Packers were just like basically in purgatory, and it all depended on whether Rodgers could perform or not. And he just kept like feeling like he had to bail them out time and time again. And when he gets hurt, it all implodes. And so that's probably is in part a late reaction to this. And I think also another part, I know that he did say that this wasn't because of the Jordan Love pick, but I find it hard to believe that didn't play a factor in it.
Yeah, I get that, but to me, it kind of seems a little late to complain. And you knew your time in the Packers wouldn't always be the same, but I kind of get where you're coming from.
And we're back after my computer decided to crash. And more than a week later, half the things that we just said are now more than a week old and probably don't matter. So much for the Sixers winning the finals, so much for the Golden Knights winning the Stanley Cup. But hey, what would this first episode back be without some major screw up?
Yeah, I think that's kind of our thing. We get a lot of predictions wrong. We make a lot of mistakes, but we get some right at that. At the end of the day, a broken clock is what is right twice a day.
That indeed. What was I going to say? Oh, something else I got right. You remember back at the beginning of the MLB season when I was talking about the White Sox, and you don't have to talk about how I didn't think they were going to win the division. Right now they have the best record in baseball, if I'm not mistaken. Have that up at 44-30. Actually, basically on par with the Rays, tied with for the best record. But you remember what I was saying about Tony La Russa, about how the new age players may not be 100% cool with his managing style. You remember Yermin Mercedes hitting the 3-0 home run off position player, and the reaction he had to that and all that happened?
Sadly, I do remember that. Kind of want to forget.
All I'm really going to say is, I'm not going to say I told you so, but yeah.
Yeah, it's implied. But hey, I am going to say that I told you so because I did predict the White Sox to be pretty good, and I got one thing right. Like, I think baseball, we got a lot of predictions right, especially with Tony La Russa. And I think we obviously got to talk about that, right? Because again, 3-0, what was it? 3-0 count, off position player, hit the home run. I feel like the moment
basically breaking every unwritten rule in the book.
Yeah, but I feel like once you put it, when you don't put a position player in, the other team's saying like, whatever, we really don't care. You know what I mean? And yes, it was an easy hit to get off of it. So there is that kind of there is that weird area like, oh, the other team kind of doesn't care about it as much anymore, but still, you know what you're happening. You're kind of, it's like a high schooler beating up a sixth grader,
Yeah, still you can say in that case like, oh yeah, if they're giving up, then like really what's the point of like going all out? They're like, you won the game. It doesn't matter one way or the other. Like, so whatever.
Yeah. And then we did see him try to be hip with those shades, and it didn't really work out, you know. You know what it reminds me
That's
of?
subjective.
No, you know the Steve Buscemi memes, like, how do you do, fellow kids? That's exactly what it reminds me of.
I don't know why it took me until now to realize that. Oh man, so much else has happened. Let me actually re-pull up what I was supposed to talk about. One thing I was supposed to talk about that I think I got cut off while saying was being a homer and the Chicago Cubs this year. I did not expect the season that they have had. Chris Bryant putting up MVP type numbers and not just as a third baseman. He's been playing third base, he's been playing first base, he's been playing outfield. Like, you can put this guy anywhere. If he's not in the MVP conversation, then nobody is. He's got an OPS plus of 143, OPS of 875. He's batting. He's got 68 hits, 16 doubles, 14 homers, 40 RBIs, 273 batting average, and like I said, 875 OPS. Like, dude's been tearing it up. But the real story about the Cubs has been the bullpen. The best bullpen in baseball by far, especially when you're counting just since the start of May. Ryan Tepera, Andrew Chafin, Craig Kimball's three-headed monster there should be enough to strike fear into any lineup going into the seventh, eighth, and ninth innings. I think their ERA has been like the three of them like 0.5 or something. Then of course you add in a bunch of other guys who haven't been doing too bad. Justin Steele, Keegan Thompson, Tommy Nance, Alec Mills, Dan Winkler, Rex Brothers, Brad Wick. Like, the list just goes on. And now I'll just talk about three flaws to this Cubs team. Number one is just those City Connect Wrigleyville uniforms. Like, oh my God, you could have done so much with Wrigley. And you just had those like navy blue, like, but I digress. Number two has been that the team isn't over the 85% vaccination threshold. One of the only teams on that list right now. So I'm looking at you, Eric Sogard. I'm looking at you, Jake Arrieta. Come on, like, get vaccinated, help you, help others. Also, to anyone listening, if you're not vaccinated and don't have a medical reason not to be, please do. It helps you not get infected, helps other people not get infected. Okay, so number three has been the starting pitching. It's been inconsistent at best. Hendricks, Davies, Alzolay have been Davies too. Yeah, Hendricks, Davies, Alzolay have had some decent starts, some good, some bad. Just the other day was pretty good with a combined no-hitter, might I add. But I've talked enough about the Cubs.
So I will add on more to the Cubs because there's a lot I want to say about them. Because listen, they have been having a great season, you know. Chris Bryant playing.
Patrick Wisdom. If you don't know that name right now, he's your future NL Rookie of the Year. He's had 10 home runs. He was called up in the middle of May, so watch out for him. Sorry.
No, you're good. And yeah, just Patrick Wisdom, I wanted to add on him since he is a great up-and-coming guy. Even though it's kind of that weird thing with the Ben Simmons thing where he's technically not a rookie. He's been in the league since 2018. He played a few games, played 32 games in 2018 actually for the Rangers, if I'm not mistaken. But he's a rookie. You know, he didn't play more than 32 games. That's the most he played so far in his career. Bryant's back. Rizzo is obviously being Anthony Rizzo. And Javier Baez. We have to talk about the Pirates. We have to talk about that.
Oh, yes, we do.
We do. We have to talk about that. But just before that, Cubs had the fifth best record in the National League. So they're obviously on the pace to a great start. And I don't know, this team's looking pretty good. But for those who don't know,
if you want to describe Javier Baez to anyone, just show them that one play. or the Pirates for that matter.
Yeah, and if you want to describe Anthony Rizzo to anyone, just show them that play also with his reaction. But for those who don't know, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the absolute worst form of baseball probably on this planet. I think our middle school team played better than them. I know we played better than them because we actually did it right that play. So for those who don't know, this was, I want to say a month ago maybe. It's a Pirates Cubs game. Cubs are away. Baez gets a hit, and it's 2 outs. Let me remind you that it's 2 outs, right? There's a man on second, I believe, right? Man on second. Baez gets the hit, and instead of throwing it, so the guy throws it to first base, the first baseman, right? So a normal situation is, let me do this. A normal situation would be you get the ball and you tag the base, right? You just step on the base and that's 3 outs. No. The first baseman of this Pirates team chases Baez back to home plate and still doesn't get him out. What happens next? The runner scores. And Javier Baez, he's just standing there applauding it, not realizing, he just realized, like, oh man, I can't believe it actually worked. And he still is at home plate. He realizes that he's going to go to first, and he gets to first base. And guess what happens? They botch the throw, and Baez gets a double. Wow. I'm sorry. Like, listen, I only hate some Steelers fans. I don't even hate the Steelers. I like Pittsburgh sports. You know, I think they have great things. I feel bad for the 76ers. Some of the Steelers, yeah, you guys have a great team. The Pirates, I feel so bad.
Pennsylvania City.
No, we're not talking about that. But, oh my God, Pirates. There are T-ball teams who know how to do that. That's one of the first things you learn in baseball. Like, I'm so sorry for you guys. You shouldn't have to witness this. And then there was a one time where that guy got a home run, but since he didn't step on first base that he got out, like, I'm sorry, Pirates. Like, I don't know what you need to do. There are T-ball teams playing better than you guys. Like, yes, it was the peak of comedy in sports maybe ever. I think that's probably my favorite sports clip of all time. But really, you know, that's kind of all I got. I'm just astounded that that actually happened in an actual game. That's something I do in like Sammy Sosa Baseball 2005 on my PlayStation when I get bored. Just do bullshit bold plays, you know? That's how I play sports games. I just do like the worst plays ever. But I wouldn't expect that to happen like in a real game, you know?
Yeah, that play, like, I still don't know how to describe it. So especially to someone like who I've tried to describe it to people who don't know baseball that well. Doesn't quite work, but it was still like, watch that play if you haven't, and also if you haven't, what are you doing with your life? I'm sorry, but not to be outdone, the Cubs aren't even the team with the best record in Chicago. The White Sox have still, as we said, they've been tearing it up. Like, I honestly can't think of an area where they're really that bad. They have depth in their hitting core. Yasmani Grandal, Jose Abreu, Nick Madrigal, Tim Anderson, Yoan Moncada, Luis Robert, Yermin Mercedes, all of OPS pluses, all of OPSs at or above league average. I mean, their starting pitching's been pretty well. They've been doing pretty good. Their bullpen has been nothing to sneeze at. And this is all without arguably their best player, Eloy Jimenez.
Yeah, no, the Cubs team is fun to watch. They're good. You're definitely going to see a lot of all-stars on this team. I wouldn't be surprised if they do make a deep playoff push, you know? This team definitely has a lot of surprises. And yes, like you did admit the weaknesses. Like, for me, the biggest weakness was those jerseys you mentioned about this Cubs team. This Cubs team is going to be good. Maybe they won't be World Series bound this year, but if everything keeps building up, you're going to see this Cubs team do a lot.
That is not going to stop people from speculating about an all-Chicago World Series. I mean, like, there is buzz there. I don't know what would happen if it did, but you know what? Since Philly didn't burn down, I want to see a little. I guess why not see a little chaos, a little bit more Midwestern.
And that is the spirit.
But, I mean, truthfully, we could also see something similar out all the way on the West Coast with the Giants and A's. Both of them have had pretty good seasons. The Giants especially throwing a lot of people, including myself, off guard. We thought NL West, Dodgers, Padres. They're doing pretty good. The Giants are doing even better. They're leading the division right now by 4.5 games.
Yeah, the Giants actually have the best record in baseball with 48-26. The next is the Astros, 47-28. But the Giants, unbelievable. Like, I know everyone's big clash with Dodgers Padres. Those are our biggest clashes. But man, this team, I really don't know. Like Brandon Crawford. Because who did a batting average, RBI 49, OBS at .30, 343. Then you got Buster Posey playing it so great this year, and you got a lot of great guys just doing their roles. I mean, Brandon Boat's doing pretty good. Buster Posey again, Evan Longoria. Like you have a lot of guys who are stepping up in their league and performing for this team.
You cut out a little bit at Brandon Crawford.
Oh, so
I'm going to assume that he's been doing pretty well, but.
Well, yeah, for his batting, for team batting leaders, I mean, he's leading. He's leading an average to the .254, home runs of 16, RBI 49, OBS at .343. He's doing pretty good this season, you know. And you have a lot of guys just stepping up, doing the right thing. But we got to talk about the pitching course also. Chef's kiss, you know. They're just stepping up, they're performing, and a lot of these guys aren't really, guys the average fan might know. They're not your DeGroms, they're not your Crawfords, Kershaws. They're not guys like that. But they're doing their job, you know? And I think that's all you could really say for them. They're doing their job. They're making the things happen. And this team, they definitely don't have the average fan is definitely not going to know a lot of these guys. But that doesn't matter because this team is winning games now. And that's a big thing they're doing right now.
Yeah, I don't even really know what to say. I mean, like, it's pretty, like, I could try to talk about, like, the dynasty of the even years earlier or 10 years ago. But, like, that's not even, this is a completely new team. This is a completely new regime, new manager, new GM, new everything that, like, I don't even know how to explain it, but we're just all here for the ride.
Yeah, and it's just fun to watch, honestly, you know. And see, this is a whole new team. Like you got a lot of those old school guys. You got Brandon Crawford, Buster Posey, Brandon Bell. These are guys who have been on this team for a long time. And it's just so good just seeing those guys. Maybe it's just because from childhood. That's kind of like a nostalgia feeling. But it's just nice seeing those guys still playing on teams, you know.
Absolutely. Of course, like we said, there are also two pretty good teams in that division too. Those being the Dodgers and the Padres. Not going to talk about the other two. That would just not be right. But I mean, what do you really want to say about those two teams that like hasn't been said already? Dodgers, I mean, like coming in, everyone's sort of thinking this is their year to lose. Am I still frozen?
No, you're good now. Just when you were saying those teams, you were freezing up.
Okay, yeah. The Dodgers and Padres. I'm not going to talk about the other two. That would just kind of be a little depressing. Sorry, any Diamondbacks or Rockies fans. But, I mean, like, you know the Dodgers lineup. You know the household names. Will Smith, Max Muncy, Justin Turner, Chris Taylor, Mookie Betts. Like, all these guys have had OPS pluses at 130 or better. Like, it's insane. Of course, you know the brand name pitchers and Bauer and Bueller and Kershaw all having pretty solid seasons. Like what else is to be unexpected here?
Yeah, it's just obviously we could keep talking about this team. Like we could just keep talking about California baseball because it's really good, especially Dodgers and Padres. Like, I know that the Cubs swept. Didn't you guys just recently sweep the Dodgers, if I'm not mistaken? And then you swept the Padres.
We swept the Dodgers earlier the year. game one of the series in LA started yesterday. No hitter.
Yeah, a combined no-hitter.
Yeah.
So obviously Chicago's not a team to mess with. But California baseball, I mean, Giants, Dodgers, Padres, in that order are 1, 2, 3 in the National League. Like I know we talked about the Dodgers and Padres. There's not much more we can add. It's fun baseball, big name guys, just incredible to watch. But for real, this might be one of the best years in baseball. Just for an average fan, and just for the average fan, just watching at home, right? I'm not, because there's more we could definitely talk about, but just seeing all these big name teams just coming up, you're seeing a lot of home runs, you're seeing a lot of big name guys, a lot of guys inside baseball, and then a lot of guys doing stuff outside of baseball. Like, I know people who don't know baseball who are knowing guys like Fernando Tatis Jr., Clayton Kershaw, Trevor Bauer. You're getting a lot of known guys from outside teams. That just shows you how big baseball is getting this year. That just shows you how impactful this is being. And then you have the Angels, which...
Oh, I was just about to talk. I was going to say, speaking of California, like those three teams in the NL West don't even have the best player in California or the most exciting player in California. Is also the most exciting player in baseball, hands down. Shohei, I don't know your middle name, Ohtani.
Yes. Watch how his middle name is something like really basic, like Brandon or something like that. It's definitely not going to be that, but I think that'll be hilarious, It's like Shohei Brandon, Shohei Jonathan Ohtani. And I don't think he has a middle name.
I don't know how, because I'm looking on Baseball Reference, and I don't know how they do the pitching and the hitting stats for player page, whatever. I'll try to find what I can. Pitching stats. He's pitched 59 in a 30. What? Oh, you have stats up?
I have some stats up, yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Wait, yeah, so in 11 games, he's 3-1, has an ERA of 2.58, 59.1 innings pitched, 82 strikeouts, and a whip of 1.18.
Yeah, pretty good for a pitcher.
That is. But as a batter, especially, not even chef's kiss, the kiss of God landing on this man, giving him the best gifts of baseball since Mike Trout. And no one, you can't argue with me on that. You can't argue with me. He is
no one is. Players.
No one is. Like, yeah, you can make the argument. Oh, Tatis is a better hitter. Ohtani is a better all-around player. You want to give his batting stats?
Let me see if I can find him again.
If not, I got them up also.
Yeah, he's had. Let's see, he's got 65 hits this year, 15 doubles, 23 home runs, 54 RBIs, 10 stolen bases, 30 walks, struck out 83 times, but he's batting for a 265 average, OPS of 984.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this dude, if he is not the most valuable player, tell me who is.
He is. No, you can't make the argument. He is this year's MVP in the AL. He could be baseball's, if they had it just for both AL and NL, he's the MVP. I don't care who you talk to. He is the MVP. Even if the MVP was one player in this entire league, he is the MVP of this year. And it sucks that the Angels wasted two of the greatest baseball players we've probably seen in our lifetimes' careers.
There's three if you want to include Rendon.
You had Trout, who was so loyal to you, and then you had Ohtani. And I feel like it's not too late yet. You guys could still do something, but it's the Angels, and we kind of know, you're not really going to do anything. You know what I mean? But listen, California baseball, beautiful. Angels, you have a few good players, but the team is they're below 500. But
it's just the starting pitching. It's been the weakness for years, and I don't know who I need to yell at in the front office. If you want Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani in the playoffs, bolster your rotation.
Yes. That's just it. But baseball's been fun this year. I think we could all admit that. You've had a lot of great stories, a lot of great teams, a lot of surprising teams. Yankees are pretty bad, and I think that's always a good thing to hear, you know?
Yeah. By the way, staying in the AL East. Well, I didn't even realize they were fourth place in the division. I was just going to talk about like the exciting young core of the. Can we call them the Buffalo Blue Jays now? Like, has it been
Yeah,
enough time that we can?
Let's just call them that.
All right, of the Buffalo Blue Jays, actually has a nice ring to it. Now that I say it aloud, but
It's BBJ, it's BB, you know?
yeah,
Buffalo Blue.
yeah, man. But like, just the young, like, I don't know what there is to say about Vlad Guerrero Jr. Like, we didn't know, like, he's still like the past couple of years have had like that kind of vibe that like he's a rookie, he's still developing. We don't know what he'll be. Now we know what he'll be. He's leading the league in home runs with how many? 24 this year. Like OPS above 1,000. Is there really more like I can say to that? Of course, when you add in George Springer's just now coming back, when you add in Marcus Semien, when you add in Bobashek, Kevin Vigio, Teoscar Hernandez, like this team has a very, very bright future.
Definitely. And Vladdy is actually leading the team in almost every hitting category. But as fun as they are, especially hitting, Steven Matz, and this is not just the Mets fan in me, the Mets fan in me loving how great he's doing, you know. But my God, I don't know. He has 7 wins this year. He's leading, and he's doing pretty solid this year. I know Blue Jays pitching has been kind of inconsistent, but he's having a pretty solid year. But like you said, they have a great young core to them. And outside of Vladdy, if you just look at that roster, like the guys you just mentioned, they are pulling their weight, you know. So the Buffalo Blue Jays, I think you stay in Buffalo because this is working out for you guys, you know. Just stay in Buffalo. We'll have another New York team, you know. It'll be fun.
I mean, listen, hey, Bills are pretty exciting. The Blue Jays stay, they're pretty exciting. Sabres exist. Like, that's a trifecta right there.
Exactly. You'll complete the New York tundra where you have 2 great teams and then one team that kind of is eh. But
I mean, you know what they say about New York sports.
No, I don't.
Or at least what I say about New York sports. And that is all of your luck will go to the Yankees. Except that's not even all that true this year because the Yankees aren't doing all that good.
Yes.
Like, they still have a winning record, but they're only 3rd in the division. Trying the stats up directly right now, but I know the Rays are ahead of them. I know the Red Sox are ahead of them. Like, they haven't been 100% good all the time.
Yeah, they're below 6 teams. I can give you that list in order. It's Astros, Athletics, White Sox, Rays, Red Sox, and then Indians. So they're not terribly bad. And Judge is having a great year this year. He's batting .286, 16 home runs, 38 RBIs, OPS of 384. It's not bad at all, you know. So maybe this is me. I'm happy the Yankees are doing good. You know, that's kind of average. And it's not even like the fit because I know Cole's obviously having a great season. You know, you have Chapman coming back. You have a lot of great guys. You know, don't get me wrong. But just to stick it to Yankees fans, 27 rings and all that stuff. I'm happy they're kind of mediocre. That's all I have to say about it. I'm really happy the Yankees aren't doing well. I'm glad that the Mets are doing better. I'm glad that the Buffalo Blue Jays are doing better. So no, they're not doing better. Never mind. I take that back. But I like that the Yankees aren't doing so well. I like how no one's talking about them for playoffs. I like all that.
Well, I do want to talk about them for one reason, and that is Garrett Cole. And that, if you don't already know where I'm going with this, has been I don't even know what to call it, but the conversation surrounding the sticky stuff. So for those that don't know, I guess basically there's been this sort of understanding between pitchers and hitters that like pitchers have been using some sort of substances like sunscreen and rosin, I think has been like thrown around there. Basically just to help pitchers grip the ball better. And they say it was for more command. Recently, it's been coming out. It's been speculated that some pitchers are using basically much stickier substances to help grip, not just for command, but for spin rate, which hitters don't really like very much because it makes it harder for them to hit. Baseball. Manfred, if you know how Manfred works, then you know that a lot of people don't like how he's dealt with this. What he's done is basically been allowing for umpires to check for any foreign substance at just about any point in time. And if any is caught, it's a 10-game suspension with pay, meaning they can't be replaced on the roster. And Ari, I'll let you start with your reactions. Okay, you're...
Sorry, I got some clique.
Okay. You good to
go? Yeah, I'm good. Just like, and I said, this is probably one of the most interesting years in baseball, one of the most exciting years. And then you just have this. And of course, Manfred isn't handling this well at all. Not even good. Not even okay. Not even average. This is just bad for the sport, bad for publicity. And I do have one thing I could make up that could be good. Maybe two. But you see also a lot of players really hating on this for obvious reasons at that. You can't just search a player 24/7, what it seems like they're doing. And obviously, you're going to have a lot of people outraged with this. Just not just fans, players, everyone's going to be outraged at this. And there's not really, there's not really a thing that it's going to go away always. You can't always stop players from doing this. But for having random searches all the time, it's not going to work. I've known we've seen guys really. Yeah, this is what's up. Oh, what point did I freeze at?
Crap, I forgot something. Oh man, I'm sorry. Just go back to the start. I honestly forgot. No. You're frozen again. You're frozen again. You're frozen again. You're frozen again.
Yeah, I did mention this is probably the most. You froze also, by the way.
This is what happens when you have to record on a Friday afternoon.
Here, I'll start over, I guess, for that. Okay.
All right.
So, yeah, I did say this is the most interesting year of baseball. One of the most exciting years for fans and casuals alike. But this, and obviously, we know why it's bad, because Robert Manfred was in charge of the operations. He is probably the worst GM in any sports league, and that's an understatement. He's not handling this good. It's not even okay or poor or average. It's just upright bad. You're seeing a lot of fans outrage of this. You're seeing a lot of players outrage of this. 3 days ago, Sergio Romo, during a search, he just dropped down his pants because that's what it feels like for everyone in baseball. But the thing is, I don't know where to start. Like, first of all, Robert Manfred has to get out of the GM office. He has to get out of that job. He's not good for baseball, anyone in that position. The way I guess you could do it. Let me show what I think you do it and why I think baseball is doing this operation, which actually could be genius if you actually hear me out. And Josh knows me personally, so I think he might know the direction that how this is actually good for baseball is going to turn out. But the one way I can see this really working better and more efficiently is if you could do like a challenge system where a manager has to call out on the other team to give them a search of the pitcher and suspect, I think it's kind of like the challenge flag in football. You throw it up. If he's there, cool. You get it right. If it's not there, cool. You lose something. You lose a timeout. I know that's on baseball. You lose a challenge opportunity. Whatever. You lose something. I feel like that's the only way you can make it more fair, having that more risk reward instead of, I feel like this, then through search him, then 3 innings later, I still feel to search him again.
Yeah, I mean, like that's literally what we saw the other day with Joe Girardi trying to check Max Scherzer basically every single inning. So like, you're helping nobody. Like there should be some limit to that. I totally get that. My thing, I want to take a step back a little bit further and just sort of, because before all this happened, I think like one of the first incidences was with the Cardinals reliever, Giovanni Gallegos. He was asked to like, umpires were checking his hat. This was really before all the rules were set in place. And all the Cardinals managers.
Oh, freezing up. Oh.
I know. Okay. All right. Where did I freeze at? Did I freeze at Gallegos?
No, you froze at Joe Girardi. And you're still frozen for me. Look. I can do my thing about how I think this actually good, like for the sports.
No.
While you like get back on.
I'm on now. I'm good. I want to say, like, I want to go back. I want to go back to one of the first incidents here. This is really before the rules were set in place, where Giovanni Gallegos, Cardinals reliever, was asked, like, umps wanted to check his hat to see if they had anything. I believe that they did find something, and basically all after the game, all the Cardinals manager Mike Shildt could say on that was that it wasn't the right time. That really like has to make me and should make every baseball fan ask, why have we been okay with cheating in sports or in baseball? They're like, and this is a much larger conversation. I know it's not just the sticky stuff. It goes back to the trash cans. It goes back to the 90s and steroids and all that. And like baseball's existed for how long? More than 150 years now. How have we not drawn a line between what is giving you like what is making it easier for you to play the game and giving you an unfair advantage? The fact that we're still making up these rules as we go, like just doesn't sit well with me. Like in no other sport do you have these kinds of scenarios. In no other sport, like I guess the closest thing you could say was Deflategate, but we kind of like only like, yeah, that seems like it's over the line. But like anytime you hear of PEDs in football and basketball and hockey, like, boom, immediate suspension, nothing wrong with that. Nobody arguing, oh no, screw it, let's just roid up everyone and see how fun the sport is now. No, there's some integrity of the game that we have to maintain. And just
yeah, but the thing is, we've seen it so many times, especially in baseball with cheating moments. I mean, we've seen this with steroids. We've seen this now. We've seen this with Pete Rose and his own cheating ways. We've seen this with the 1919 White Sox or Black Sox, if you call them. Cheating has always been a big part of baseball, but that doesn't make it right. It just means that we're so used to it, on the field at least, that it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. This is part of the game. This is one aspect of the game that is normal to us. And for a lot of people, that's how they see it. What do you say?
And it just shouldn't be. Like, no, if I want to watch a game, I'm like, what's the point of watching if I know that one team is going to be normal, or if both teams are going to be cheating, like,
cheating on the field? Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make. We are so normal. We're so used to it right now, but it shouldn't be. That's why we got to start doing something about it. But and I get that's why Manfred wants, okay, check the pitchers anytime. whenever time you want. But that's not really going to work, though. You need an organized way. The only good thing, the only way baseball could win about this thing right now, how they're doing the searches right now, is that players get, as you take the Magic Mike route, okay? And hear me out on this, okay? You know Magic Mike, obviously, right?
Actually, no.
So, it's a movie with Channing Tatum about male strippers, right? And players, they taken off their pants. They said, "Oh, I'll just pitch naked." Like, you're getting in the women audience, and some of the guys too. If that's the route you're going to get baseball in, who am I to say no? As long as you make the dough, as long as you're preventing cheating. Josh, you know me now. You should have known that was coming. But no, in all honesty,
I should have, yes.
Yeah, you should. But in all honesty, we shouldn't be used to seeing players cheating. We shouldn't just suck up the fact that players are going to cheat. This shouldn't be a normal part of the game, but yet it is. That's why we had to take action. That's why the MLB has to take actual action to making it stop in a good way, in a good and efficient way.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that another thing that we haven't mentioned yet is that some pitchers don't use the sort of heavy sticky stuff. Like spider tack is probably the stickiest one that people will mention. And some pitchers just don't use that. Am I good? Am I good? Am I good?
You froze, and then all your words went speed.
Okay. Yeah, another issue we haven't been talking about is that this applies for just about every single substance. This goes from sunscreen and rosin, something that's seen as relatively mild, to spider tack, which is probably the most grip you can get on a baseball that pitchers will use, and they're treated as the same. And some pitchers they're not intending to cheat. They're using something that they thought was pretty tame, like Tyler Glasnow right after his first time throwing without sunscreen and rosin. He got injured, and he's blaming we shouldn't be treating all these substances as the same, which to an extent I can understand. What I think would be in the best interest for baseball is sit down, make a list, substances that are okay, that help with grip and command, and substances that are not okay, give you too much of an advantage of spin rate, all that stuff. Provide some amount of the usable substances, and then check for the bad ones. It just seems that's simple to me.
Actual action. What's good and what's... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I know. It may take a while to sit down and figure out one by one, should we allow this substance? But you gotta.
Exactly. You have to do it eventually. Start now rather than the future. That's really it.
I feel like there's a lot we didn't get to.
Probably, but I feel like that's obviously we have to bring up Trey Mancini again. He's been our story. He's been our baseball story throughout this year. So we got to bring more. Get him to the All-Star game. Get him to the All-Star game. That's all I got to say.
Yes.
I know he's not. He's probably fourth or fifth for. I don't know what he is. I know they only count top three. They show top threes for positions now. But this year, 73 hits, 41 runs, 14 home runs, RBI 52, and OPS of .342, and slug rating of 475. Get this man to the All-Star game, please. That's all I got to say about him. He's just an incredible story to follow, incredible guy. Just do it. Just do it like Nike says. Just do it. That's it. Oh. That's really, but I think I know what we forgot about. There have been a lot of no-hitters in the MLB this year.
Yes, there have. By the way, I'm going to be that guy. The Cubs were the first team this year to throw a no-hitter with the foreign substance rules in effect. So I think that counts for something.
It does count for something. That's that they technically have a no-hitter. But outside of the Cubs yesterday, you had Corey Kluber on May 19th versus the Rangers, Spencer Turner of the Tigers on May 18th versus the Mariners, Wade Miley of the Reds May 7th versus the Indians, John Means of the Orioles May 5th against the Mariners, Carlos Rodon of the White Sox May 15th against the Indians again, and Joe Musgrove of the Padres April 9th against the Rangers. And Musgrove is a San Diego native. So you've seen a lot of great stories of pitching this year, but you see a pattern. Mariners on this list twice, Indians on this list twice, and Rangers are on this list twice. So that's just funny to me that, kind of the worst teams in baseball have multiple no-hitters against. But it has been a fun year of baseball.
I mean, Cleveland's been pretty good. They're 10 games above 500.
They're fine. I mean, they're not terrible. I know a lot of people thought they were going to be worse this year, so they're not that bad. But
yeah, honestly, I think we owe them an apology. I said they were going to be like one of the worst teams. They're right up there atop the AL Central with the White Sox.
So I guess we do owe them an apology. So to Cleveland baseball, we're sorry. The two high school high school graduates on their podcast on YouTube.com apologize for criticizing your MLB baseball team. We should have obviously taken our attention to the Pittsburgh Pirates and made fun of them. So we're sorry about that.
I feel like I also should apologize to any Minnesota Twins fan whose hopes I got up a couple of months ago. I mean, I wasn't expecting everyone to get injured.
So
I'm sorry. I'm not even gonna
We also have to apologize to Rays fans because we did get that. We didn't think the Rays would be as good again. We thought they'd be in the middle, but they're number one in the AL East. So Tampa, we're sorry.
By the way, one team we haven't mentioned, the Red Sox. I thought they were just gonna have a pretty meh year, maybe a few games below 500. They're a half a game out of the race for the AL East lead.
Yeah.
And who saw that coming?
Obviously, those trades were honestly obviously those trades were what the fuck are you guys doing? But it really paid off for them. And I think that's just the most shocking thing to a lot of people. Even Red Sox fans weren't expecting this. JD Martinez, Xavier Bogaerts, I know I pronounced your name terribly, but he's stepped up to be a big leader in this team. Obviously, he was a number 2, 3, 4 guy even in those World Series years, but now he's showing to be a number 1 guy. Same with Martinez, same with a lot of guys on this team. So
yeah, man, that three-hitter monster, JD Martinez, Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers, all of them have OPSs above 900. And then on the pitching side, you got some good stuff. Nathan Eovaldi, Nick Pivetta, Martin Perez. Yeah, this team.
No, this is a good team, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know much more to add to that. I mean, the bullpen too, Matt Barnes has an ERA under 3 as closer. Ottavino, Sawamura, Josh Taylor, Darwinzon Hernandez. By the way, if anyone wants to know, which they probably don't, I actually got to see Darwinzon Hernandez pitch a few years ago in the minor leagues. So that's just fun to see for me.
We got their hopes up early.
Yeah. But that, are there any other things you're missing, or can we wrap up?
You froze before, but we got to apologize to the Cardinals fans. We kind of expected them to be a whole lot better. They are 36 and 39.
Yeah, I mean, truth be told, I think they would be if Jack Flaherty were pitching. But again, these injuries happen. We can't really see him coming. I will not apologize for the Brewers. I feel like people are being surprised by them being near the top of the NL Central. But
yeah, we predicted this.
Yep.
We are the reasoning for them being so good. And I'm fine with taking credit to that. When everyone else said Milwaukee would be bad, we said they would be good. And I think ESPN, give us a try. Give us a show. You have nothing else to lose right now. Modern day ESPN, what do you have to lose? I'll tell you what, nothing. Your ratings already been lost. Your viewership has been lost. Your respect, your credibility, all your trust, all your fan loyalty, all your fans have been lost. Give us a shot. We were the only ones to do this. And yeah, I think that's all I got to say. I think I might send a nice DM to ESPN after the show.
That'll be quite the note to end this episode off on, unless we're probably missing a lot of things. And we'll probably have another recap up. I honestly don't even know when this episode is going to go up. Probably, if I'm being honest, sometime on Sunday. So hopefully you will be seeing this on Sunday. And there's so much. I know there's stuff we missed last time or a couple weeks ago. I know there's stuff that's coming up. We got Stanley Cup Finals. We got NBA Finals. Will be decided one tonight, one within the next week or two. Like, all right, we got a lot of things to look forward to. It's the end of June. It's like playoffs are in full swing. Stanley Cup Finals are going to be set tonight. NBA Finals are going to be
playoffs
set in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, we're talking about playoffs. Man, this is like we got a lot of stuff to cover. I know we got to as much as we could today and a couple weeks ago. We will get to the rest at some point soon. Hopefully, not another 2-month break. But with all of that being said, I think this is where we have to end this marathon of an episode. And I don't know how much I'll have to cut out or if I'll just say, screw it, I'll leave everything in. You get all of our mishaps and whatnot. But we finally ended off. Thank you for listening to us and bearing with us. We do this. I honestly have no clue. We'll try to do it at least once a week. Goes up to Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. If you have any questions, comments, or something you want us to talk about, you can on YouTube leave a comment down below or email us at number 2, bandspodcast@gmail.com. Am I missing anything from the outro? It's been a while.
I think that was it.
All right. So until next time, we will talk to you then.